Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're very happy to have you joining our show again this evening. We're always glad that there are people like you, people in our cities who are interested in what's happening in city government. Because it is really important for good government that there be a flow of information back and forth between the mayors, the city council, the city staff, and the residents. They need to hear from you. They need to hear from you when it's an idea or issue that's important to you, but also they need to hear from you when they're doing the right thing and you're glad to see what's going on. So we're glad that you're joining us. If you haven't seen our show before, each week we'll have somebody on from one of the 9 cities in Northwest Community Television's viewing area to update us on what's happening in that particular city, what's just occurred or what might be occurring in the future. And tonight, we're very, very happy to have Duane Poppe come back to us. He's the mayor of Osseo.
Oh, thank you.
You've been on our show a number of times before,
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yep, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no, you do a good job as an ambassador for Osseo, right?
Thanks, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And because you've been on our show before, you know that I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself out to that wider audience. Just tell them a little information about yourself and your time in Osseo.
Okay, yeah, I'm currently the mayor of Osseo. This is my second term. In Osseo, the terms of mayor are 2 years.
Right.
I was on the city council for 3 years prior, so going on 7 years of city service here.
Right.
But yeah, so we live in Osseo for a number of years now with my wife and 3 children. So that keeps us busy with various activities and sporting events that they're involved in.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But yes, so happy to serve.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you with us again this
Thanks.
evening. Well, we'll move on to redevelopment in Osseo, and maybe you can tell us about the newest business development, because you got somebody bringing a headquarters of a company in.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's a great addition to town. It's Roshan
Okay.
Corporation, and they're a general contractor. They do a lot of, schools, industrial building, and just a lot of construction. But yeah, they were located in Plymouth before.
Okay.
And we talked with them, tried to figure out a couple of different sites.
Right.
And ended up getting them on the site that's right across from the post office.
Oh.
Kind of on the west side of
Right.
downtown. And they're building a 2-story, 10,000 square foot building.
Ooh, that's
so
pretty
it's
cool.
5,000 square foot floor plates, 2 of them, and then they'll take the whole top floor initially, and then half of the first floor, so they'll have about 2,500 square feet to rent out. I mean, a great building, right on.
Right.
Right in town there, and they really did a nice job with the brickwork and everything to really. I mean, it doesn't stand out like, oh my gosh, it's this new building here.
Right.
I mean, they've really did a nice job, kind of really blending it into the fabric of the community, and it's just a great company where you talk to all the people at the open house, and it was a long tenure for most everyone who's worked there.
Right.
I mean, it's a company that, just great leadership, great people that work there, and I mean, they just do a great job.
So, like over a period of several years now, you've had kind of a plan for redevelopment maybe, and this is sort of a culmination?
Yeah, I mean, we've done, 8 projects in town.
Oh,
and
okay.
Osseo only being 1 square mile. I mean,
Right.
we've
That's
done
pretty
quite a
good,
few,
right.
and that's really something that we've looked at as a council is ultimately, how do we get some of these vacant parcels and parcels that the city owned back in the tax rolls and generating, taxes for the city, because that's ultimately be able to take the burden off the residents.
Right. And then it brings in jobs for people in your community too,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it brings in jobs, it brings in people to buy gas and groceries and, everything else that the city has to offer.
So maybe mention a few of these 8 things that have come in over the years. What kinds of businesses have the city attracted?
Let's see if I can remember them all. We did phase 1, phase 2 of the apartment. That was 5 Central.
Oh, right.
And that was, 150 units in town, right on, again, Central Avenue. And, the significance of that was, now that it's full, that changed the population 10%.
Right.
So you have 10% more population up and down the businesses,
Right.
you know, using the grocery store and the gas station. And talked to a lot of the businesses, and they've said they've seen an inflow of that. You know, we did the police station addition onto City Hall, did the gun range.
Oh,
We
right.
did ceramic industrial coatings, did a 20,000 square foot warehouse expansion, and another great Osseo business
Right.
expanding and wanted to stay there. I mean, they looked, but you know, they like being in
Right.
town. We've got a retail project out on 81 that's finishing up. Then we've got the villas of Osseo, was
Oh,
the old
right,
Berkshire
right.
villas bought it, and then they built on a short-term rehab facility. So if you bust your hip and they, you know, kick
Right.
you out of the hospital and you still
Right.
need some rehab work, I mean, and the services they offer there with the concierge and their facility is top-notch. I mean, it is one of the nicest places I've seen. And now they're going to try to bring a lot of those amenities back through the existing facility and do a lot of remodeling.
Right.
So that was, and then Roshan will be the 8th one, you know. So I mean, it's been, you know, we're always looking at different opportunities right now. I mean, there's a couple of other ones we're looking at and trying to figure out, you know, again, try to generate more taxes for the city.
Well, and I think over time, the cities have become more involved in the process of attracting businesses. For a while there, it was kind of, here we are, you want to come, but maybe you could speak to a little bit of the emphasis on getting new businesses and redevelopment in Osseo.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is just, you know, I think the thrust of what I do on a daily basis. I mean, I run a commercial real estate firm, so
Right,
it's
right, it
I
fits.
do it, you know, and I know a lot of developers, and I mean, it's something I understand,
Right.
you know, we've really made, you know, because you see a lot of the development that's going on, whether it be Maple Grove or Brooklyn Park or, you know, really all around. And I mean, Osseo is, you know, pretty unique being fully built out.
Right.
I mean, we just don't have the cornfield flats to go punch buildings and communities up in.
Right.
You know, so we have to really kind of look at what the, you know, the comprehensive plan that was put together, you know, a number of years ago,
right,
and
right.
really tried to, you know, that was kind of the skeleton, and we're just been trying to put the meat and bone, you know, the meat and the flesh on what the bones
Right.
originally were, and kind of keeping in mind, you know, how do these developments and things fit again within the fabric of the community,
Oh, that'd be
while
important.
helping the city long term.
Right. So it takes a focus on that
Yeah.
for it to happen in the city.
Yeah, I mean, we had some parcels in the city that probably have been sitting there since late 60s, not generating any income. The city owned them.
Right,
I mean, it was kind of like, this doesn't make any sense.
right.
You know,
So, and it's a time-consuming process.
Oh, yeah.
It isn't one that happens right away. There's a
Oh, yeah.
lot of behind-the-scenes work.
Yeah,
that-
a lot of meetings, a lot of analysis. I mean, yeah, understand. I mean, you know, I think some people have an inherent distrust of developers. You know, they always joke, how do you know when a developer's lying when they open their mouth?
right.
You know, but they're not all that way.
No.
You know, I mean, they take risk, and I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
right.
for them, it's all about numbers, and if they can't reach certain numbers, then it doesn't make sense. You know, so I mean, we've been able to really kind of work through those numbers with people, and kind of show a lot of the things that Osseo can offer.
Right.
So.
Now we're going to switch back to your parks because you're looking to expand that park, the park area downtown.
Bowerboom.
Bowerboom.
Bowerboom, yeah.
That you're looking some future plans for that. Maybe we could talk about.
Yeah, that, you know, is one thing that, you know, we've been working on for a number of years again. I mean, once it gets done, people are like, oh, that's great.
Right.
But I mean, we've been working on it for 2 years. And what that is, you know, again, where we have all the activities, we said it'd really be nice to have, you know, that park area be larger, to hold bigger events, hold different kind of events, do things like that. So you had basically you have one city block, and on the eastern half of that, there's 4 homes. Currently, you know, we've purchased 3 of the homes, and we have 1 more home to go. And it's been, you know, it's not eminent domain, or we're not kicking people out. We just said, whenever you decide to sell, let us know, and we want to buy your house. We get an appraisal done, and then, you know, we give them fair,
Right.
you know, it's not like we're kicking them out
No.
and undercutting their price. So, I mean, we're, you know, been slowly acquiring the homes, and we have one to go, and I mean, and she's in agreement. She wants to be there for a little while longer, and we said, you know, whenever you're ready.
Right.
You know, I mean, so, I mean, then once that's done, then really the goal is then we'll have a one block park right in the middle of town.
Yeah, that's
You know,
cool.
and then trying to understand, you know, how do we utilize that? Because, you know, I've always said you have something like that, you have one opportunity to get it right.
Right, right.
And I'd rather wait and figure it out than try to just, oh, let's do this or let's do this. You know, so I mean, we've actually set up a park and rec committee.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, they've got a whole litany of other things, but that was also in response to, let's get more citizen involvement, get
right.
some ideas percolating in there, you know, from different various groups, and then, you know, the council, you know, kind of they're adding their input, but I mean,
Right.
it's, and then once we get to that point, we'll probably end up, you know, doing a consultant, and I mean, really trying to figure it out.
right.
So,
So you're getting close to where you're going to be able to move ahead with getting more specific plans.
yeah,
You know that you want the larger park,
yep.
and so there's still a lot of points for citizens to get
Oh,
involved
yeah,
in this
yeah,
process.
we're a long way from get it done. I mean, all the way from, you know, the existing band shell, can that be left there, turned, repurposed? You know, the existing, you know, Veterans Memorial
Okay.
stuff right
Right,
there.
right.
You know, does that stay there and that becomes a focal point? Do we you know, relocate I mean, so there's a lot of time.
So a lot
before.
of you need a lot of input,
Oh, yeah.
and then you can start sorting it
Yep.
down
Yep.
and getting someone to help with the design of the process.
Yep.
Then,
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we'll end up probably hiring a consultant for that.
so along the way, probably the best way is to kind of keep track of what's happening on the website.
Yeah, website, Park and Rec. I mean, we
Okay.
talk about it occasionally. You know, so right now the city owns those, and you know, we made the effort. We tear those down, or you know, what do we do? And we just said, you know, let's just rent them out. So
Right.
we just
Until you're ready.
yeah. So we're just collecting, you know, rent on those, and that money received in rent just goes to the park fund.
So if people are really interested, getting on the Park and Rec committee would be the starting point.
Yeah, Park and Rec. You know, planning. You know, there
Okay.
are some openings in planning coming up. You know, I mean, really any. You know, we'll have openings on EDA. You know, after the first of the year, we'll. You know, so I mean, there's
right,
a lot of
right.
lot of
All
different
of
ways.
those will be involved in
Yeah.
this process
Yep.
as it moves forward.
Yep.
So those would be all opportunities. And then I'm sure you'd have some more specific committee when you get ready to do concrete work on it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll probably come up through the Park and Rec committee.
Okay.
You know, and then there'll be extensive conversations there about it.
So the timeline for the process is maybe in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
I would say in the
Maybe?
next year to
Okay,
year and a
right.
half
Year
is
and
really
a
going to
half.
probably start in
Is
earnest.
then you'd start to publicize it more and
Yeah.
start
Yep.
sorting out the
Yep.
details.
Yep. I mean, we talk about it occasionally at the
Uh-huh.
council level already, but yeah, I mean, that's really when it's going to really start.
Now, the Star Tribune had an article a while back about tax increment financing. So I've been talking with everybody that I get from the different cities, and then we'll put it together in a compilation, because
Okay.
I'm sure people hear the word, but they're not quite sure exactly what it is, but cities do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so originally, I think, and you can correct me or you can talk to how Osseo's used it, it was to deal with blight and bring jobs to cities.
Yeah. I mean, originally,
Uh-huh.
you know, that's kind of what it was.
So what kinds of things have happened along the years with that program, and how has Osseo used it?
Yeah, I mean, Osseo's, we've used it, you know, pretty extensively.
Uh-huh.
You know, it was because most everything we do is a redevelopment. I
Right,
mean, again, we don't
right.
have vacant land, so we always have issues that
Uh-huh.
to get something done, I mean, it takes a lot of heavy
Oh,
lifting.
right, right.
You know, so I mean, we've used it, I mean, a lot, and really, you know, everyone talks about TIF is the 4-letter word and this and that, and it's like
Nah.
until you truly understand it.
Right.
I mean, to give you kind of 101 on
Okay.
it is, you have the parcel of land or parcels, depending
Right.
if you put in the TIF district,
Oh, right, right.
have a value.
Right.
We'll just use round numbers. Tax value is 100,000.
Okay.
Let's just use round numbers. 100,000. So you generate taxes off that $100,000
right.
value.
And that's ongoing and happening
Yeah,
now.
so you get from those taxes, you got the school district, you have the county, and you have the city tax
Right.
that you're generated from that. So now you put it inside of a TIF district,
Okay,
and you say, we're going to do this redevelopment.
right,
And now instead of $100,000 value, it's worth 200.
right.
Again, pretty low, unrealistic numbers,
Right.
but
Right.
it's 200,000.
Right.
So that increment, the tax
Right.
increment from 100 to 200, is what the city keeps,
Right,
and then it's pay as you go. It's called, so the developer who's building this new
Right.
thing pays the taxes in, and then based on eligible expenses that they prove out and they're verified by
Right.
the finance people that we
Right.
employ, then they get those costs paid for out of that, and then everything up to that 100,000 of value
Right.
still goes to all the entities.
right. So they aren't
So
out the
nobody's losing
taxes
anything,
that they normally
and then
would have.
without that, because there's what's called the but-for test,
Right.
is you have to pass this. This would happen, but for this. So you
right.
have to. There's a whole lot of things you have to pass to be able to qualify for it. So I mean, so then after it's done, then there's an increase in value, and everybody, the county, the school district, and the
Right.
city has a higher tax value, and everybody makes a little bit more.
Right, and don't you think it's particularly important for our older cities?
Oh yeah, I mean it. Again, because there's a lot of your eligible expenses are demolition, earthwork,
Okay.
underground utilities, city type sidewalks,
Right.
things that you're required to put in a newer development. That, I mean, again, if the TIF wasn't there, the costs get out of line.
Right.
The numbers don't make sense for a return for the
Right.
developer, so they just say, I'm not going to do it. So I mean, to be able to help attract and redevelop some things, I mean, it's been a necessary tool.
Right, and so it's kind of providing specific parts of the process, like maybe tearing down the building, right? Or you were mentioning other costs that get included
Yeah.
there that the city can pay off, or they can help the developer do it, either way, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is, the developers paid for it.
Right,
And then they pay the taxes, and just a portion of those
Right.
go back to, pay for some of those eligible
and
expenses.
so then you get bonds to help pay that off, right?
Yep.
Over a period of time?
Yep.
So what are the time frames of the TIF districts you've had for how long the payback is to make it
it all
happen?
depends on the project.
Okay,
26 years is as long as they can go.
Uh-huh.
And, obviously, you always try to shorten them up as much as you
Right.
can. Like when we did 5 Central,
okay,
we had to increase sanitary sewer
Uh-huh.
because of the increased capacity. So
Sure.
we're able to do a bond inside the TIF district.
uh-huh,
So and then with that one is a little, we have different tranches or
Right.
different kind of schedules that
Right.
people get paid off on.
right,
And we have two schedules paid off. The city gets paid
Uh-huh.
before the developer, and then we have 2 more after
Uh-huh.
that. And based on, minimum assessments, and, that one was projected to be paid off, I think it was 18 years.
okay,
With everything, with modest estimates and increases,
Sure.
and and now the assessment is higher than what we
Ah.
anticipated. So ideally, I mean, it should be paid off quicker.
Oh,
but I mean,
right.
there we were able to again provide infrastructure without having to assess for it.
Right.
Because I mean, you typically do a sanitary
Oh,
sewer,
right.
you're going to assess the people along
The businesses, right?
along the street for that. So we're able to do that without assessing people, and then be able to then, we had some acquisition costs and some cleanup costs that we're getting paid back for
Right.
in that. Then the developer gets paid, and then we had some other costs associated that we'll get back. So I mean, it was, and then once that's done and fully assessed, we have a bigger project than the
Right.
vacant parcel that's been there
Right.
for, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, so the fact that the county and school district aren't getting that increase, but they probably wouldn't have gotten anything unless you had this project underway.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't do anything, it would just
Right.
stay what it
It
was.
would-
and
you would just be where you
everybody.
were.
So, I mean, they're still getting what it was.
Right.
And then now, when it's paid off, they're going to get
Right.
more money.
So,
so
without the TIF district, you wouldn't have that increase.
correct.
And like I said, I think it seems like it's more important to our closer in, older suburbs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because where you've got the vacant land and you're starting from scratch, that's
Yeah,
kind of a
that's
different
simple.
process.
Yeah, I mean,
for
a lot of
development.
those aren't going to be eligible expenses anyway, so.
Okay, and then an important thing for cities is determining how many TIF districts should be there, or how much of that cost you should bring on. So
Yeah.
maybe you can speak to that a little
Yeah,
bit.
we've actually, analyzed and been pretty involved in the TIF districts. I mean, I've been through those numbers quite a bit. And what we have 5 open TIF districts.
Okay.
Some of them, there's a couple that I don't know if they'll ever be made whole because the development wasn't what it was originally supposed to be, to the extent it was,
Right.
or, what they built, so I mean, the value, I don't know, and plus the market, and I mean, there's a whole lot of other factors in it, but, so we had a couple of them, I think, that, will take a while. But, we've closed out, since we've been there, this kind of current council and I've been involved, we've closed out 7 districts that, we've looked at and analyzed and be able to close those out. Again, getting those fully back on those, larger values back on our tax rolls, and obviously the school district and the county too, but, and utilizing those districts to do other things. And, and as they're done, we close them out and, try to help, our bottom line.
Right, and so cities have to be careful, because I can't remember which one, some farther out suburb. If you get too many TIF districts going, you're going to divert too much where you have to fill in with your general funds, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. I mean,
If you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, if you TIF everything out
Right.
and you have no gain in that, and you're kind of locked in at that point.
Right.
And as cost increase, and you can't participate in those
Right.
increases of taxes. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of that balancing act. But I mean, that's why we've closed down a bunch, and I mean, we're sitting where, I mean, we're doing all right. That, I mean, the ones we have make sense, and we'll be. We'll probably retire a couple of those in the next 5 years, so I mean, we'll be just down to a handful and try to look at, some different ones and how we can kind of utilize it.
Well, and you do need a lot of good financial help in determining the best way to set it up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
use consultants and different firms that...
yeah, we've got our financial consultants for the
Right.
city and bond council, and we use them all the time for different various things.
Right. Then we mentioned it a little earlier, but the commissions and committees where cities can get involved, maybe we can specifically talk about what are the ones in Osseo, and then what's the process, or how do you do that? So that, like I said, we always want the people out there to know what's available for them, and then to help encourage people to volunteer in their city.
Yeah, we've got a wide variety of opportunities. Obviously, the Park and Rec.
Okay.
We just established. We have the Public Safety Advisory Committee. That kind of looks at the police, the fire, Public Works. I mean, kind of the whole gamut of things there. Obviously we have the Planning Commission and the EDA. There's openings coming up on those. We've got Heritage Preservation. We've got a variety of committees, the trolley, there's a lot of ways that people can get involved. I know we're looking for various volunteers for just everything that's out there. From I know Lions Roar is always needing people if you want to work a festival for the weekend. I mean, there's just opportunities for people to be involved if they want to be involved. So.
Yeah, and so letting people know that of the variety of things that are out there. And then what is the process if somebody wants to become part because all of these groups that we mentioned, the commissions,
Yeah.
meet monthly,
Some of
roughly,
them are
or
quarterly.
some of them
Some
are
of them are quarterly
right.
or semi-annually. Some of them.
And they're all groups to kind of help the city council by gathering information.
Yeah.
If,
I mean,
I think.
Yeah, getting various viewpoints again. I mean, listening to different people, and I mean that you may not hear from.
Right.
You know.
So if somebody is out there that we're talking to tonight and they're saying, oh, maybe I have the time now. Because everybody's different when you can do something like
Yeah.
that. Not everybody has the time, but we want people to know when they do have the time,
Yeah.
what's available. What's the process for getting
Yeah, I mean,
to be
again, I would
on one of those
check
groups?
with city in the
Okay.
city hall, and on the website, and then the various open positions. It's typically write a letter to the
Okay.
mayor of the city and just
Okay.
say, I have an interest in applying for this position, blah blah blah. Then they'll get it to the city administrator, and I mean, if there's more than one, which is great. A lot of times there's not.
Right.
You're always looking for a few extra,
Right.
and then get on the committees. But I mean, again, kind of do a little soul searching to see where you have some interest.
Right, yeah, something
mean,
that interests you,
yeah.
so you, because once you join it, you want to be sure to be involved.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be engaged. I mean, if you're
Right.
kind of like, I don't know if I want to do it. I mean, then maybe, wait a little bit and try to figure out if you really want to do it.
Okay, and now all of the commissions have meetings that people could go to. So if you're kind of exploring, or you're at a point where you want to find out what's going on, you could actually go to those meetings.
Yep.
Or you have the minutes of the meetings on your website too, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I would say, check the calendar.
Okay.
Of meetings. Again at City Hall on the webpage, and go see when these various committees and commissions meet, and sit in and try to understand and see if you have an interest in
Okay.
it,
Do you
or
have a
talk to somebody who's on it.
Right, because that's what I was trying to get at, that you could then see what's happening and talk to people.
Yeah.
So you know what actually is going to be
Yeah.
required, and whether it's something that you want to put your time and interest
Yep.
in. Now, is there a specific time of year that you appoint people, or do you do it as people?
It's
their
usually
schedule?
in January.
Okay,
As we make all the appointments.
Right.
The various commissions. We have citizen appointments and council
Right.
appointments.
okay,
And a lot of times, we make those citizens appointments and there's still openings.
Sure.
I know, like Heritage Preservation, for one, we just talked about the other day, still has openings.
okay.
So I mean, there's openings right now for people to get involved.
So if we're reaching any people tonight, they could call City Hall to see where
Yeah.
there might be openings, or
Oh, yeah.
will your website mention where there's openings or not?
Probably best is call.
Okay,
It's probably
yeah.
on the website somewhere, but it's
Hard to find, probably.
Yeah, it's probably buried somewhere. I would just call. It's a lot easier.
Right.
Pick up the phone like the
Yeah,
old days
right,
and talk to somebody.
Right, yeah, get a real live person, right. And then it's a matter of sending a letter to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can get into the process of
Yep.
things.
Yep,
Because it is really important to get a lot of people involved
Oh,
in
yeah.
the city.
yep.
Well, I want to thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time out of your busy schedule
Yeah.
and filling in our audience on what's happening in the city of Osseo and up-and-coming events. We're glad you've been with us, and we hope you will continue. Bye.